Hi, this is Chris from Orange Coast College's art department, reviewing what I call the notched cube exercise. And the idea here is that we want to start being able to visualize objects in 3 dimensions. And this exercise gives us orthographic information, meaning 2-dimensional views, top, front, side views, and we want to visualize what that looks like in 3D. So here I've got a sheet. I've got 20 combinations, 21 if we look up here, but this one's already drawn out for us. And our goal is to do 18 small versions like this, and then 2 large versions that fit about on this size. And you can use this example to trace on. So let's take a look at how that works. If we zoom in here, you can see our basic orthographic layout here and our what we can call 3/4 view layout here. And if we look at this is our top view, so we see that on this diamond. This is our front view, and that's on the left side, and this is our side view, and that's on that side. So if we look for this side view here, that's what we're seeing right there. So let's begin. I'm going to do one more example here. How about this guy here? I'll do it nice and small. And then I'm going to pick 2 other ones that are a little more complex that I'll show big. This one and how about that one? All right, so let's do it about this size. And I suggest that this is a good opportunity to use our colored pencils. So I want to draw this overall cube about that size. I want to make room for 2 rows of 9. So I'm going to draw first my top diamond, top half being a little narrower or less high than the bottom half. And then I'm going to do my best to be able to draw a cube and be able to do this. I'm doing that. Now I'm going to drop in. I'm going to draw through to the back side because it's really important to be able to see that. So looking at, which one was I going to do? This guy. Looking at this guy here, I want to estimate, and I'm going to switch over to my blues. I've got this top plane, which is half. And then looking at the side view, this guy comes down. And then smaller, back here, I've got this little projectile. So this guy sticks out nice and small. And thinking about, if I do this nice and light, I can go over it with pen. And if I'm making sort of a final, I can erase out my guidelines here. In this instance, probably not super important. I'm also going to want to pay attention to line weights. Let's just use 2 line weights. I'm going to use my 8 and my 5. I'm just going to do the outside here with my 8. Sort of make some corrections as I go. And then I'll hit the inside lines with my 5. There we go. So there's a small version. Hopefully I can fit 9 across here and maybe a second row down below. Now let's move on to this guy here. So to do that, I've created this set of guidelines. So this is a 3/4 perspective view, and I've got a cube set up. And for the most part, it's divided into thirds like a Rubik's Cube. But I do notice some of these use halves. And so I kind of did a halfway up line as well, top to bottom. So you can use that as you want. If we want to draw through as we kind of get back to the back layers, it gets a little dim, but that's the back corner of the cube. I'm going to go ahead and put it under my paper. I'll leave room for more of those cubes up top if I was going to finish out all my rows. And then let's look at this guy. Looking at it, I'm going to draw nice and light here. I've got this diagonal cutting across. I've got a little piece here, and then I've got a little chunk here, and then it's going to drop down. Down on the first third, I've got the full base going on here. So, and then what happens is I've got a diagonal cutting across, and there's this one notch, and this is at that halfway point. So I'm not going to take my tower, if you will, all the way down. There's that little gap there. And then this guy is going to come down to where this meets him, right here. All right, so I've drawn this kind of lightly. You may have trouble seeing it on the video because I want my line weights to stick out. And on a bigger one here, I'm going to bump up to 3 line weights. And since it's bigger, I'm going to make it all thicker. So I think I'll stick with my 8 and my 5 for my first 2 thin and medium, and then I will use my sign pen for my thick. So inner corners, I'll start out with my thin here, and here's another inner corner, and then outer corner plane changes. I'm going to do my thick. And that's going to be a silhouette line. Here's another outer corner, outer corner, outer corner. And then let's wrap it up by silhouette. Sometimes we might make that bottom silhouette a little bit thicker. Just implies a little bit of shadow where the object meets it. I'm going to take this out. And there is this guy. Let's do that one more time with the next one. Let's see if I can kind of line these up. And do the same thing. So I think we're going to look at this guy. And on the top view, I've got surfaces, but as I look through, I've got diagonal surfaces. So on the front, I've got 1/3 up to the top corner. That top view is flat. Now here we see some dashed lines, and dashed lines, typically, there's multiple meanings, but most often we think of those as hidden lines. So those are lines that are behind something obstructing my view. And so what it turns out, oh, this is going to be a tough guy to see. Oh, this plane is going to be right in line with that line of perspective. That dashed line is right there. This guy, which is hidden from view. And this guy right here That's going to slope all the way down to the bottom. Like that. And from right here, this would be hidden, but I'll draw through it just so we can see what it looks like. And then this guy comes across and down and meets him. So we'll see a little bit of that chunk. That we want there, 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 there. And then that guy. So I guess we'll see a little chunk on the top and the bottom. Do I have any inner corners? Not really. So I'm really just going to value this. My outer corners and then my silhouettes. So outer corner. That's actually a overlap. So I'm going to let that silhouette line go there. Overlap. Silhouette on down. Here's an outer corner. That's an overlap silhouette. So mostly silhouette lines. Now, if you wanted to, you could, ooh, I'm not paying attention. If you wanted to, I was saying, you could draw your setup lines on your sheet below. All right. Let's all ignore for a minute that I drew that line. So this is what it looks like. So your job is to draw all these. So let's draw 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 through to 18, and then whichever 2 you decided to do big, let's do it nice and big below. Paying attention to line weights. Now, bonus round, let's break out some gray markers. All right, so I've got some gray markers here, and what I want to do is choose 2 values and have that be for the front and the side. Now, you could light things any which way, but there's sort of a default lighting setup, which I'll show you here on this cube, which is light from the upper left at a steeper angle than a shallower angle. So that leaves our top surfaces our light value. Our left-facing surfaces or our front surfaces a light to medium value, and then our left surfaces a medium to dark value. And if we were going to plot out a shadow, then we would let our shadow be the darkest. But for our purposes, we just need, let's say, a 50 and a 20. That could even be a 40. But let's do 0 here, 20, and 50. All right, so let me find, here's my gray 20. Here's my gray 50. So I'm going to start with the 20. Oh, and this guy is going to be in between. This will be our 20. That's 50. So I'm going to do this guy 30. So he's going to be receiving a little less light than this, but not as little as that. All right. And I'm going to stroke on the long way here. Now let's get this going as well at the same time. Now I haven't used these markers before, and I'm noticing my 20 is really light. So I'm going to up that to a 30. I'm going to bump everything by 10%. So I'm going to do 30 for my fronts and 60 for my sides, and that leaves me 40 for that middle. So here's my 40, here's my 60. That guy's going to be peculiar. All right, so 40 for this surface. By the way, if you wanted to erase your setup lines, you'd want to do that before you start with your marker. And I'm going to go back with 20 here. So a little off-white, just so we get that it's not receiving light the same way that those top surfaces are. All right, and in some instances we might plot a cast shadow, but that's beyond the scope of this exercise. So you want to get some more marker practice, you can go back and do these guys. Should be pretty quick. There we go. Now it's your turn. Get out your supplies and have fun.